Java coders. In the last video, we learnt about arithmetic operators. Today, we are going to explore two special arithmetic operators, the increment and the decrement operator. These operators are basically used to increase or decrease a variable's value by 1. Let's start with the increment operator. Here is a very simple example. Let's consider we have a variable a and we have assigned its value as 5. Now, this is how the increment operator works. The a++ operation is going to increment the value of the variable a by 1 and return that as the output. Let's quickly check what the output is. So the value of a is, and then we again just mention the variable. So this has returned the value of a to be 6. Just the way we have the increment operator, we also have the decrement operator. The only difference is in decrement operator, the value of the given variable decreases by 1. Let's check this out. Let's modify the same example. So instead of a++, we are going to write here as a minus minus. Let's quickly check what the output is. Did you see? The initial value of the variable a was 5, but after using the decrement operator, it has now got changed to 4. This is how both these operators work. But here's where it starts to get interesting. These operators can be used before or after the variable, and this changes when the increment and decrement happens. When we use it before a variable, we call it as a prefix. And when you use it after a variable, we simply call it as a postfix. Let's see this with an example. Here, let us understand what is the output of the variable c and d going to be. Let us quickly run this. Did you see that? The value of c is 6. However, the value of d is 5. Why is there a change? This change is simply because of making this as a postfix operator. Let us understand this in detail. In a postfix operator, what happens is the value of the variable gets assigned and is then incremented. So basically, if we consider the value of the variable c was originally 5. So as soon as you write it as int d equal to c++, this 5 as a value gets assigned to d, and only then the increment happens. So as soon as you do this, the value of d became 5, but the value, because of getting incremented, we got the value of c as 6. That is how basically how the postfix operator has worked. Let us understand how does the prefix operator work. Let us quickly modify the same code and let's put this plus signs before the variable. This is how we make use of the prefix. Let us understand what the output of this code going to be. As soon as we run this, we get to see that the output shows both c and d variable have got the value assigned now to be 6. How did this happen? Do you remember? In postfix, what was happening? We were first assigning the value and then incrementing it. However, in prefix, we first increment the value and only then assign it to the variable. So if the value is 5, when you are assigning it to d, because of having the prefix, it got incremented to 6, hence making the value of d as 6. And because it has already got incremented, the new value of the variable c also becomes 6. This is how the logic works for the prefix and postfix increment operator. Let us quickly check whether the same principles apply even for the decrement operator. Let's quickly update this as prefix for decrement. Now, in this, what you can see is when we click on the run button, the final value of both C and D variable is obtained as 4. Let us check what will happen if we are making use of postfix decrement operator. Why don't you pause this video for a minute and think what will be the output? Let's quickly run this code and check what is the output. As you can see over here, the value of C is 4, but the value of D is 5. How does this change? Now, going as per the principles of postfix operator, what happens is we first assign the value of the variable and then we go ahead and decrement it. So that is the reason why first the value gets simply assigned to variable D as 5 and then we go ahead and decrement. That is the reason why the final output C is 4 and D is 5. Now, let us go ahead and try to use both of these operators in one single expression. Over here, you can see that we have 3 variables. The first variable A is assigned the value as 5. The second variable B is assigned the value as 7. And now, the third variable C has been assigned an expression. What do we exactly interpret from this? It basically says to tell us the answer of a postfix increment and a prefix increments addition. Now we are going to dive deeper into the increment and decrement operator. We will see how they work in a more complex scenario. In this example, as you can see, we had made use of both the postfix and prefix increment operator. Let us understand what is the output of all these 3 variables going to be. Let us start by understanding what is the output of variable C going to be. Over here, as we can see, it has the expression written as A++, which stands for postfix increment, and ++B, which stands for prefix increment. Let's decode what is this output. Because it has a postfix increment, the value of A remains 5. And because it has a prefix increment, the value of B changes to 8. This at the end is going to give the final value of variable C as 13. However, over here, the value of variable A is going to get updated as 6. And the value of variable B is going to get updated as 8. Let us quickly run this and see the output. Now, let us take one step ahead and add a few more operations. Now, we have one more variable D and it has been assigned this operation. Take a minute and decide what the output is supposed to be. Note that the updated values of variable A and B are now going to be 6 and 8. So, for over here, if we have to consider this prefix operation, the value of A gets updated as 7. The value of B, because it is a postfix increment, is still going to be 8 minus. Now, over here, as you can see, it is a prefix decrement operator. But because of this, the value has already got incremented at 7. So now it's time to decrement. The value becomes as 6. And for B, because this value has now been updated as 9, in order to decrement it, this still remains as 9. So that's what the final value of D variable is supposed to be. Let's quickly check this. Now, as you can see, after computing this, we get the final variable value for D as 0. However, for A and B, we are going to get this value as 6 and 8 respectively. That's how the increment and decrement operators work in Java. In the next video, we are going to have a look on the bitwise operators. Stay tuned.